Most men think making a woman cry in bed is about how wild, rough, or intense the moment is, but they have no idea. A woman doesn't cry because of how you touch her body. She cries when, for the first time, someone finally touches her soul. She cries when she feels safe enough to stop pretending, to let go, and just be. If you've never seen a woman cry in your arms, not from pain, but from deep emotional release, then you've never truly made love to her spirit. You see, many men think that physical intimacy is all about performance, technique, and stamina. And while those things have their place, they are not what make a woman cry after making love. No, what makes her cry is the feeling of being fully seen, deeply felt, and completely safe. Body, mind, and soul. It's not just about how you touch her skin, it's about how you touch her spirit. When a woman cries after intimacy, it's not because the sex was rough or wild or acrobatic. It's because in that moment she experienced something most women rarely get in this fast performative world: presence. Your presence is more powerful than any position. When you look at her, not with lust, but with love, respect, and raw honesty, she feels uncovered, not undressed, unveiled. Make her feel like she's the only woman in the world, not through flattery, but through focus. Put your phone away, forget the porn, block out the world. Let her know with every breath that she is safe here and that no part of her is too much for you. Women cry when they finally stop holding their breath. They cry when the walls they've built to survive collapse in the warmth of a man who isn't there to conquer, but to connect. You want to move her to tears? Stop rushing. Take your time. Learn the landscape of her body like it's sacred. Kiss her like it's a prayer. Whisper to her like you know she's been silenced for too long. She's not fragile, but her softness deserves care. You want her to let go? Show her that you can hold space, not just her body. Ask her what she likes, not just to perform better, but to understand her. She may not even know yet, because no one's ever asked without expecting something in return. But when you ask and listen and explore her heart with patience, she'll start to open in ways she didn't know she could. And when she does, when she lets the little girl inside her feel worthy of love, when she stops pretending to be okay, when she knows you're not just using her body to silence your own pain, then she will let go. And that release, that unfiltered expression, that sacred unraveling, it will come in the form of tears, but not sadness, freedom, relief, gratitude. Because finally, someone saw her. There is something profoundly different between being touched and being felt. Many men know how to touch a woman's body, but very few know how to touch her soul. A woman's body might respond to touch, but her soul only responds to energy, presence, and emotional depth. It's the difference between physical intimacy and emotional intimacy. The former is mechanical, often fleeting. The latter is unforgettable, and that's what lingers in her mind long after the moment has passed. When a man focuses only on technique, he reduces her experience to performance. But when he slows down, observes her energy, and seeks to understand her unspoken language, that's when the deeper connection begins. Touching her spirit requires you to become emotionally intelligent. It means you understand that her body is not an object. It's a vessel of memory, of trauma, of dreams, and of identity. Every part of her holds a story. And if you're not listening with your heart, you'll miss the chance to truly experience her. It's not about the moves you've seen or the sounds you expect. It's about paying attention to what makes her inhale deeper, What makes her melt? What makes her hesitate? It's in those moments of subtle vulnerability that you find the key to her soul, but only if you're present enough to notice. She doesn't want someone who rushes through her like a checklist. She wants someone who lingers, someone who explores her without assumptions. Touch her like you're reading poetry, not flipping through channels. She wants to be noticed, adored, worshipped even, but only by someone who sees beyond the surface. When you take your time to appreciate the curve of her neck, the warmth of her back, the softness of her breath, you're telling her, I see you. And that kind of attention is so rare, it can bring tears to her eyes. Your energy matters more than your hands. If you're holding anger, insecurity, desperation, or ego, she will feel it. Her body will close. Her soul will retreat. But if you come with peace, with curiosity, with reverence, her entire being will begin to unfold. That unfolding is what makes her moan, not just from pleasure, but from freedom. She's been waiting to feel safe enough to let go, to cry not from sadness, but from the sacred relief of finally being met in her fullness. So many women carry emotional armor, not because they want to, but because the world has taught them that most people cannot be trusted with their softness. When a man shows that he's not intimidated by her depth, when he embraces both her strength and her sensitivity, he creates space for the kind of intimacy that transcends the physical. It becomes a spiritual experience, one where her body isn't just being explored, it's being honored. Where her voice isn't just being heard, it's being invited. She will never cry from good sex alone. She will cry when the sex becomes a ceremony, when it becomes a place where she is not being judged, controlled, or objectified. She will cry when you love her in the places she hides, when you whisper that she doesn't have to pretend, when you hold her not to possess her, but to protect her. That kind of intimacy requires emotional maturity. It requires slowing down, listening more, letting go of ego, and learning to be fully present in the moment. She doesn't want the perfect man. She wants the man who makes her feel perfectly safe being herself. And when she feels that safety, she will open in ways that defy logic, break through emotional walls, and touch dimensions of love that most men never get to witness. For most women, the world has rarely been a place where they can exhale. From a young age, they are taught to shrink, to suppress, to serve, to smile, even when they're hurting inside. They are told to be polite, to be pretty, to be pleasing. In relationships, they are often expected to perform emotionally, sexually, and mentally, even when their own needs go unnoticed. This constant pressure builds inside them like a quiet storm. They learn to hold their breath, to protect themselves, to avoid disappointment, to not appear too needy or too vulnerable. And over time, that tightness in their chest becomes normal. They stop expecting to be understood, and instead, they master the art of pretending everything is okay. So when a man comes into her life who doesn't just see her smile, but sees through it, everything begins to shift. When he listens not just to her words, but to the pauses between them. When he doesn't rush to fix her, impress her, or seduce her, but simply holds space for her without agenda. That's when she starts to breathe a little deeper. Her body, so used to tension, starts to relax in ways she didn't know it needed. Her defenses start to lower, not because she chooses to let them down, but because his presence makes it feel safe to do so. And that safety, rare, tender, unfamiliar, is what cracks her open. She cries not because of pain, but because for once she doesn't have to pretend. She cries because she's been carrying so much emotional weight for so long, and finally someone is helping her put it down. You see, a woman doesn't cry when she's weak. She cries when she feels strong enough to be seen in her most raw, unfiltered form. It's the moment her mask drops, her walls collapse, and the real her emerges, flawed, feminine, powerful. And if you're the man who creates that moment, you're not just touching her body, you're touching a truth inside her that's been waiting to be acknowledged. This is not about being a savior. This is not about being a perfect lover. This is about being real, about being still enough, honest enough, patient enough for her to trust you. Trust is not built in grand gestures. It's built in silence, in eye contact, in the way you listen when she speaks about her fears and dreams. Trust grows in the way you respond when she gets quiet, when she pulls back, when she tests whether your presence is consistent. And once she trusts, she begins to breathe, not cautiously, but fully. Every woman has a secret desire to be understood without having to explain everything, to be loved without performing, to be cherished without condition. When you give her that, you're offering her a kind of intimacy that is sacred, one that says, you don't have to carry this alone anymore. And when she feels that level of safety, the breath she's been holding, sometimes for years, will finally leave her lungs. And in that release, in that surrender, the tears will come. Not because she's sad, but because she's finally home. She's in a space where her softness is not a liability, but a gift. Where her emotions aren't too much, they're welcome. She doesn't need to explain the tears. They are not for you to interpret or fix. They are simply the body's way of exhaling the years of emotional labor it's endured silently. The deepest connection begins when she stops surviving and starts feeling. And when she feels you, not just around her, but with her, she'll exhale everything she's been holding inside. When you approach a woman, you bring your entire energetic signature with you, whether you realize it or not. Your touch, your voice, your gaze, all of it carries your essence. If that essence is tainted with anxiety, ego, aggression, or insecurity, she will feel it before you even make contact. A woman's body is more intelligent than words. It reads the vibration of the moment and decides whether to open or to retreat. That's why some men can touch her all over and she still feels nothing, while others barely graze her hand and she feels it in her chest. Because it was never just about the hands. It was always about the energy behind them. Energy doesn't lie. You can say all the right things, memorize all the right moves, but if your presence isn't grounded, she will sense the disconnect. Women are intuitive, deeply sensitive beings. They might not articulate what they're picking up on, but they feel everything. And if what you bring into her space feels heavy, rushed, or self-serving, her body will close off, even if she doesn't say a word. That's why so many women go through physical experiences feeling numb, detached, or emotionally absent, because the energy they were receiving wasn't safe or authentic. A man who is truly grounded brings peace into the room. His energy is calm, focused, unshaken by performance or outcome. He's not touching to prove something. He's not trying to conquer. He's simply there, aware, present, tuned into her and into himself. He's not afraid of stillness. He understands that the most powerful moments are often the quietest ones. His energy doesn't demand, it invites. It doesn't rush, it respects. And that's what makes a woman's body feel safe enough to open, not just physically, but emotionally. Being present means that you're not ahead of the moment. You're not in your head worrying about what comes next. You're not evaluating yourself or her. You're in it fully. She can feel it in your breath, your pace, your patience. Presence tells her, I'm here with you, not just for you. And when she feels that, something inside her begins to shift. Her nervous system relaxes. Her thoughts slow down. She stops performing and starts surrendering. That surrender is not weakness, it's trust. and trust is everything. Your energy should feel like shelter, a place where she can rest her guard, even if just for a moment. And to become that, you must first learn how to hold yourself. You must understand your own emotional landscape. You must clear your intentions, confront your fears, and ground yourself in something deeper than desire. Because when a woman opens to you, she's not just offering her body, she's offering her vulnerability. If your energy is careless or chaotic, she will feel exposed in the worst way. But if your energy is stable, kind, and intentional, she will feel seen in the most beautiful way. Touch becomes sacred when it's backed by clean energy. A kiss becomes unforgettable when it's delivered with presence. A caress becomes transformational when it says, "You are safe here. You don't have to be anything but yourself." And when your energy carries that message, not just in your words, but in your frequency, her body responds. Not with resistance, but with release. She stops thinking, stops doubting, stops hiding, because your energy told her what your hands could never say. That this moment isn't about control, but connection. That this space isn't for taking, but for sharing. That you didn't come to impress her, you came to honor her. And when your energy reflects that kind of devotion, her entire being will respond with a depth that no technique could ever achieve. Perfection is an illusion that too many men chase, believing that if they can just say the right things, look the right way, perform the right moves, they'll finally earn the love and surrender of a woman. But the truth is, women aren't moved by perfection. They're moved by presence. They don't need someone flawless. They need someone real, someone grounded enough to hold space for the parts of themselves they usually keep hidden. And a man who creates safety not by controlling her, but by understanding her. A man who makes her feel that she doesn't have to adjust her personality just to be loved. That she doesn't have to hide her messy, emotional, intense, or soft sides just to be accepted. Safety isn't built by talking about how much you care. It's built in the way you show up, in the way you listen without fixing, in the way you don't get scared off when she cries or pulls back or opens up more than she expected to. It's built in how you handle her honesty, her silence, her passion. When a woman begins to feel safe, everything changes. Her voice softens, her body releases tension, her laughter becomes free, and her intimacy becomes more raw, more emotionally open, more powerful than anything you can create through performance alone. To create that safety, a man has to do the inner work first. Because you can only make a woman feel safe being herself when you've made peace with being yourself. You can't give her stability if your energy is always chasing validation. You can't hold her emotions if you're constantly afraid of your own. A woman doesn't want a man who has all the answers. She wants a man who knows how to stay even when there are questions. She wants to know that when she shows her real self, your love won't disappear. That when she breaks down or doubts herself, you won't walk away or shut down. The kind of safety that reaches a woman at her core is quiet, steady, and powerful. It's in the way you stay calm when she's overwhelmed. It's in the way you don't take her vulnerability personally. It's in the way you hold her after an argument, not out of guilt, but because you care. It's in how you listen to her tell stories about her past without flinching or judging. It's how you ask questions about her feelings, not as a tactic, but because you actually want to know her. The woman who feels that kind of safety will bloom in ways that can't be forced. She will begin to give parts of herself that she has never offered to anyone, not because she was hiding them, but because no one ever made her feel safe enough to show them. When a woman feels that she can fully be herself around you, the relationship becomes something beyond sex, beyond attraction, beyond even love. It becomes a sanctuary. She will cry in your arms not because she's broken, but because for once she doesn't have to be strong. She will look into your eyes, not searching for approval, but because she sees home. She'll trust you with her softness, with her chaos, with her love, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through consistency, presence, and truth. When she no longer has to ask, am I too much or am I enough? Because your energy answers her before the question is ever spoken, that is when you know you've touched her in a way that perfection never could. So if you truly want to leave a mark on her heart, not just her body, then stop chasing perfection and start creating presence. Because in the end, it's not how good you were in the moment, it's how deeply you made her feel. Make her feel safe, make her feel seen, and she'll remember you not just with her mind, but with her soul. That's the kind of intimacy that lingers. That's the kind of man she cries for, not out of pain, but out of the beautiful, rare feeling of finally being loved without having to perform.